in my apartment, everyone's online right now working. And so my Wi-Fi has been a little jumpy this morning. So if you miss something, I'm hoping the video captures it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to invite you. Please come to, excuse me, let me share my screen as well. Okay, let's get a move on here, Sally. You got to load for me. Come on. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So my screen hopefully is sharing with you in a moment. Awesome. So if you guys would want to do this, we're going to start off with like a little bit of a lecture here, okay? Like a little bit of notes. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to go to Google Classroom, and if you could go and download the Argumentative Writing Guided Notes. If you could go and download these into Notability, that would be fantastic. We're not going to use every single one of these, okay? We're not going to use every single one of these, but this is just going to be something you can use for yourself when you're taking notes. And also if you need to come back to it later. So yeah, go ahead, please download this. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to talk through a couple things here. So you're putting that into Notability. I'm going to start a slideshow here in a second. But yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and introduce this. So this is my fifth or sixth time this year going through an argumentative lesson. I teach a lot of composition classes. I teach juniors. So I've done this lesson a few times, and every time I open this lesson and I say an obvious question and I say, what does argumentative writing sound like? And I always get a student, always a brave student will say, it sounds like arguing. Absolutely. And to that I say, yeah, we are going to be arguing in this piece of writing. Okay, so you will literally be arguing. Arguing a point, arguing your position on something. When I say that, I always get a student always like a weird look. And what I want to say before we begin this is that we're practicing arguing. Arguing is a skill. And that doesn't mean like shouting at people is a skill. I'm trying to be funny. No, of course, like having a well thought out argument and being able to present that to people, being able to, share your opinion and your side of things in an organized and coherent way, that's a skill. That's a skill you can use as a sophomore. That's a skill you'll want to use for the rest of your life. So for me, this lesson is really important because, of course, it's a skill to have. Like as a sophomore, you're going to write an argumentative paragraph about cereal. But the bigger picture is someday, today, tomorrow, I'm hoping you use these skills all the time. Okay, so hopefully you are already on, you got the guided notes loaded. A couple things I'm going to say here before I begin is that normally with this lesson, I do, students do a 5-paragraph essay, okay? We're not doing a 5-paragraph essay. We're going to do 1 paragraph. Either way, the elements and the concepts are very similar. So I'm going to go through all these things. And, if I'm backtracking, like if I'm saying, we're not going to do it quite like this, we're going to do that, or skip this part, just go with the flow. Okay, go with the flow. This is unlike anything I've done before, unlike how you've usually learned this as well. So you have got your wands at the ready, because at the beginning of this lecture, it's going to be a little interactive, okay? You're actually going to be writing. So if you look through your guided notes right now, the first 3 are like places where you can write a sentence. We're only going to do 2 of them, okay? So hang on for that, okay? But argumentative writing, I'm going to begin. You have opinions, right? When you become an argumentative writer, when you become skilled in this, your chance of being heard, being right, and winning the debate increase dramatically. So what we're going to do is we're just going to practice this a little bit, okay? We're going to practice a little bit of like debating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a topic here in a second. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 topic. What I want you to do, I want you to write just 1 sentence stating whether you would disagree or agree with 1 reason why. Okay, so I'm going to give you a topic here in a second, and you're going to share whether you agree or disagree and why. So here's the first one. You can just put this under number 1. Here we go. Number 1. Should schools stop buying textbooks and instead spend their funds on electronic sources and educational tools? Go ahead, write your response, whether you agree or disagree with that. And one reason why. I'm going to do this with you. And I'm going to call on you to answer this in a second. So please do this. Here we go. Number 1. So all you're doing is you're writing a sentence stating whether you agree with this or whether you disagree and why. I'm halfway through mine. You could come up with any reason you want. All right, I'm going to give you another minute. I hope you're writing or finishing up writing. I'm going to give you one more minute. It's hard for me to kind of judge where you are at with your writing right now since we're not in person. So one more minute, and then I'm going to ask for a volunteer. So you have another minute. You would agree or disagree with this, and then what is one reason for why? All right. Does someone want to go ahead and share the sentence that they wrote for number 1? Quicker we do this, the quicker we get done.
I can go. I said yes because technology will last longer than paper textbooks, and electronics are more easily accessible than textbooks.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. So Sophie said yes. Did anyone want to read their sentence that kind of said the other side of this? Did anyone argue the opposite?
I did.
Okay, thanks, Max. Go ahead.
I said I disagree because I always feel better having a tangible book just in case the online source doesn't work.
Okay. So what you guys have here, Max and Sophie, thank you to you guys. Good job, Max, as well. They both, when you listen to their statement, you could tell very clearly what side they were on, right? There was no in between. You knew exactly what they were arguing. Max was very clear. He's like, I want to back up. Sophie was very clear. This is more affordable. It's more efficient. There was no in between. It was bold and it was a solid stance. Very good to both of you. What we're going to do, one more. We're going to do one more. And for this one, I'm going to encourage you to write a complete sentence that restates the question and is only in third person. Okay, so you're going to, try to turn it into a thesis, if you will. Okay, no pressure, but restate the question when you answer it, and no first person. Use third person only. Okay, we're going to try it. So let's skip this one. We're skipping number 2. You can write wherever, but I'm going to give you number 3, okay? You all have an opinion on this one. So, complete sentence, restate the question, third person only, okay? Number 3, should colleges stop using standardized tests, such as the ACT and SAT, as part of their admissions process? Okay, so go ahead and restate the question. And no I in this one. I'm going to write this one as well. Okay, I'm going to give you another minute here. After this, we're going to fly through these slides. I'm going to ask for a volunteer here in about a few moments. Gird your loins, prepare yourselves. Who would like to share their sentence from number 3?
I guess I can go.
Yay!
Hi. Okay. So I said the ACT and SAT should not be used for college admission, not only because it disadvantages the poor who do not have the same resources as the rich, but also because many are already integrating it out.
Okay, Anna, very good. Thank you, Anna. So you saw there, you know, the difference from first round to the second round here is that we took out our personal feelings, right? And that really sounds like a thesis. What Anna just said could have been a thesis statement. Very good. And you actually gave 2 reasons there. Does anyone want to share the opposite side to this one? Does anyone want to argue the opposite point? You don't have to. It might feel like uncomfortable to do that because I feel like most of the students I talk to are like, we have to have something, but a lot of students are like, no, like we should get rid of it. There was an opponent in the other class though who did step forward. So there are people out there and that's totally okay. Both sides to this. So you got there. What you just heard from Anna was a solid statement. It almost sounded like a thesis statement. We're going to talk about what that looks like. But what you guys all did right now, you had a topic and you figured out the hardest part. You figured out where you stand on that topic, okay? Once you know where you stand, so in the case of cereal, once you know if you think Adnan is innocent or you think Adnan is guilty, once you know where you stand, that's the hardest part. Now you just have to prove it, right? Like whatever argument you have someday, whatever opinion you have about something, the hardest part is figuring out where you stand. You just have to come up with your reasons to prove why you stand there, okay? So what we're going to go through is how you do that. So this, I think, is number 4 on your guided notes. These are the 4 things that you need and you will have in your final paragraph, okay? So if you just want to write these 4 things down, you are going to have a claim. You're going to have 1 reason. You're going to have 3 pieces of evidence, and you're going to have 1 counterclaim. So these are all of the elements of an argumentative paper, okay? We're going to do it in a paragraph, and I think you guys are going to do well. For the reason why you've been doing a lot of this all year anyway. We just didn't call it this. So these are the 4 things we're going to do today. We're going to go over these. After I review these 4 things with you, we'll jump to the actual assignment, and then we'll be off shortly, okay? So I think you're probably ready to go. Again, it's hard for me to judge where you're at, but you've got claim, you've got reasons, evidence, and counterclaim. Claim might not sound like a very familiar word. I'm going to give you another moment here to write if you need it. But claim is a very familiar thing, right? We're going to start with claim here. Claim, okay? A claim is a very familiar thing because it's a lot like a thesis, okay? So in your claim, in your sentence where your claim is, it's going to be your stance on an issue. And just like Sophie, just like Max, just like Anna, their stance was very clear. It was very clear to see where they stood, and they were very bold. In other words, they were bold, but they weren't overpowering. You know, like Sophie and Max, you guys did a great job. That's an example I'm going to give because you were back to back, and I listened to both of your statements and I was like, I could see that and I could see that, right? Your claim has to be reasonable. It's something people could have an argument about. It's also known as a thesis statement, like I said earlier. So the big thing is when we have a claim, it's third person, okay? It's just like Anna did. It's restating the prompt, or it's stating the topic and your stance inside of that, okay? With that being said, normally your thesis or your claim is the last sentence in an introductory paragraph. Here's something really important I want you to just know. Since we're only writing one paragraph, your claim is going to be one of your opening sentences. It's going to be one of your first sentences, okay? So you're going to come out the gate swinging. When I read your claim, I should be able to know, okay, I know what they're going to be proving in this paragraph, right? It should be very clear. Think of it as a thesis. You guys, we've been writing thesis statements. We worked on thesis statements a ton trimester 1. And we did it again, try 2. So think of this claim as a thesis statement. With that being said, okay, I'm going to use an example here for claim. Hey, Mom, claim I used in high school. Hey, Mom, I need a later curfew. I deserve a later curfew. All right, and my mom often said, why? And I didn't just fold my arms and go, I don't know. Right? You've got to have, in any argument, you've got to have reasons. So one thing I want to say before we begin, you do not have to write these ones down, okay? You do not have to write these ones down, all right? So reasons, they're the main ideas or points that lead up to your claim, okay? So reasons, claim, I need a later curfew. I deserve a later curfew. Reason number 1, 9 p.m. is just a really early curfew for a sophomore. Or for a senior, like all my friends are going out later or getting to stay out later than me. Okay, so that's a reason. Something overarching, something kind of general. It's a statement that leads you to your claim, but it has to be able to be proven, okay? So main ideas that lead you up to your claim. These are things, if we were writing a full-on research and argumentative paragraph like I wanted to this trimester, you'd be researching a topic and you'd be able to use any of these areas for your reasons, okay? Historical precedent. Well, my two older sisters had a later curfew. Personal experience. It's kind of embarrassing being home by 8 p.m. on a Friday, okay? Ethical considerations. Mom and Dad, I'm missing out on the best years of my life. Financial effects. When I come home really early, like 8 p.m. on a Friday, all I do is online shop. So I'd be saving money if you let me stay out later. Okay. But these are all like areas you could think of. You're not really going to utilize these when we list our reasons from serial. Okay. Because you're not going to be researching. We're going to be straight up working with the episodes we listen to. So those are reasons. You've got your claim, you've got your reasons, and you need evidence to back it up. Okay, so evidence are facts that support your claim. We're not going to be researching and citing reliable sources, although you guys did do that with your 1948, Montana 1948 papers. You did do that. But instead, we're going to, you're using facts to explain to your reader, this supports my claim. Look at all this evidence. And the last piece of this is you've got to kind of connect that for your reader. I always tell you guys, your reader is lazy. Your reader is lazy. Always pretend that, because it gets you into the mode of saying, okay, I have my reason, I have my evidence, but I have to connect them. Because your reader isn't going to connect them, right? You've got to spell it out for your reader. Because my best friends, Abby and Bailey, both have a later curfew. Mom, those are my best friends. I deserve a later curfew so I can spend more time with them. Okay, that's an explanation connecting reason to connecting evidence to a reason. So, going to be a little different because you're not going to be researching, okay? But you've got to explain that evidence. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. The last part, and maybe the newest part for you guys, is the counterclaim. Before I really get into what the counterclaim is, I'm going to say, when you listen to an argument between people, one thing that always, as human beings, we like people who think about both sides, right? Like politicians during presidential debates or debates in general score better with an audience when they acknowledge the opponent's argument as well, right? People recognize and respect others when they acknowledge a different point. So a counterclaim, what it's going to do, it's going to show that you're smart and you've thought deeply about this issue by acknowledging the strongest point of your opponent. Yes, you heard that right. In your paragraph, you are going to acknowledge the strongest point from the opponent. So if I am dead set Adnan is innocent, I'm going to have one sentence where I acknowledge how maybe someone else could think Adnan is guilty. Okay? How this looks. Ignore the visual here. I just have 2 more slides with you. Like I said, you're going to very briefly summarize your opponent's strongest argument and then quickly transition to your own. So your counter argument is going to be just a phrase or a sentence. So here's what it could sound like. Although there is no evidence that proves Adnan was in the library that day, counterclaim, there is in fact a witness that can attest this, okay, or in something to that extent, right? Although Adnan does not have a hard alibi for the day Heyman Lee was murdered, there is, however, a witness that puts him in the library. Okay, so you're going to call out that strongest point and you're going to transition to your own. It's one of the wittiest things to do when you argue. Acknowledge it and move on with your own point. Okay? Well, I'm here. This is the last slide I had. What questions do you guys have about this argumentative writing? Any question on these 4 elements here?
Should we turn in these guided notes?
No, you don't need to do that. Great
Okay.
question, though, Tyler. I think that was Tyler. Okay. No need to turn these.
It was me.
Thank you, Tyler. Nope, no need to turn these in. Any questions on these 4 elements and what they look like? Okay, I don't want to waste your guys' time. I see silence as a no. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pivot. You got the background on these. I'm going to pivot away from that, and I'm going to come back to showing you your actual assignment, okay? So we're going to move on. You guys are rock stars. Argumentative writing, you're going to see an example. So what I have here, if you're in Google Classroom, and you click this open, here's the actual assignment, okay? Here's the actual assignment sheet, and this is where you'll turn it in as well. If you open this up, so serial final argumentative writing assignment, this is worth 20 points, and it's going to be in the weighted category. Before I talk about this, I want to say I am done grading one of your Kite Runner paragraphs, but I haven't entered the grades yet. I apologize. I will enter those today. So that puts me at, I have 1 more paragraph to grade for you, and then I'm caught up until this one and your slideshow. So the grading is coming. I'm definitely taking it into account that I'm behind on grading. So I appreciate your understanding and your patience from my end. But getting back to this is your final assignment, okay? It's 1 paragraph and is not due until next Friday at midnight. With everything that's going on, if you need more time, please let me know, okay? So here are the directions. I'm going to go through the directions, the prompt, and the claim here. This worksheet, though, it has a rubric. It has a little bit of review on the things we just covered. It has an outline that you can use, and it has a color-coded example, okay? So hopefully, if you have any more questions, hopefully this can also help you over the next week. Otherwise, please email me every single day or any time you need to. So the directions. Write an argumentative paragraph that answers the prompt below and fulfills the paragraph rubric. Follow the outline that Ms. Weiss gives you and be sure to provide evidence from your serial worksheets to support your claim. Additionally, work on transitioning between thoughts and providing an explanation after providing your key details. Okay, so in other words, here's the prompt. I'll go through that in a second. You're going to have to provide 3 pieces of evidence or 3 examples from your serial worksheet, okay? Now, when I say that, I just want to explain, it doesn't mean you have to have like hard evidence. Like, oh, the police collected a fingerprint, that's my evidence. Your evidence can be anything that you interpreted as valuable. So if you're like, hey, I wrote this in her diary entry, if you found one of her entries as evidence, you can use that. Okay. If you think part of Jay's interview, something he said is evidence, use that. Like, use the smaller things, use the things you wrote down on those worksheets. Okay. By no means am I expecting these to be like really solid, hard pieces of evidence that would stand up in court. It's subjective. It's the things that you found significant. Okay. So here's the prompt. After listening to the first 6 episodes of Serial, is Adnan Syed guilty or innocent of murdering Heyman Lee? So that's the topic, right? Like, we just practiced 10 minutes ago, we practiced topics and going through those together. This is the topic. Is Adnan Syed guilty or innocent? And I know sometimes it's really easy to be like, well, I don't know. I can see it both ways. Regardless of how you view him, you've got to pick one side for this assignment, okay? For this assignment, you're going to pick one side and you're going to argue that most strongly. So here are your choices, okay? Number 1, you can choose that Adnan Syed is innocent, he was wrongly convicted, and you can argue that. Or side 2, you can argue Adnan Syed is guilty. He's guilty. So you're either arguing he's innocent or he's guilty. Your whole paragraph is going to be about your response to this, okay? You can use these claims if you want to. They're pretty basic, okay? If you want to spice it up, if you want to change these claims, I encourage you to do that. You're more than welcome to do that, but you don't have to, okay? The last 2 things I'll go through here. The rubric. Topic and concluding sentence. Hopefully your topic, sentence, and concluding sentence match each other. And one thing I saw, and it wasn't just like one person, a lot of you, and it's totally okay, would have like the same topic sentence, and then you'd copy and paste it for the concluding sentence. Match is kind of a tricky word, and I should have explained this better. I want you to at least somehow restate the topic sentence in a different way. Okay, restate it in a fresh way when you conclude your paragraph. Think of that concluding sentence as the last scene in a movie, right? Like, you can't just cut off the movie and be done. Your audience is going to be ticked. You've got to have something that kind of, polishes over the whole thing and brings it to a nice, clean end. If you need help on that, please let me know. Moving forward, you're going to have a claim. You're going to have one reason, evidence, and one counterclaim, okay? What I have down here, I'm hoping you have 3 specific examples or 3 pieces of evidence. And I kind of talked to you why I didn't use evidence down here. It's kind of a loose term. Examples. 3 examples from the podcast from your worksheet, okay? I'm hoping this is kind of the range we're at. 9 is just there to encourage you to go for depth. By no means feel like you have to hit 13 and keep going. Like, being succinct is also a skill. So don't feel like if I write 17 sentences, I'm all good, I'm going to get an A. Like, don't worry about that. Just kind of use it as a guide. Don't feel like you have to do more just to do more, okay? That's just kind of there to help you. Transition. Use transition words between your different pieces of evidence. Again, sentence variety. I'm not going to count your sentences, but it does you a world of wonder when you do have sentence variety. I can just look over your paragraph and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of different length in here. There's a lot of different structures in here. Some of you do this already so naturally. Keep it up. No personal pronouns. Everything needs to be third person. It's essential in an argumentative paper that everything is third person, so it seems and it appears unbiased. And then lastly, MLA format. Okay, so any questions over the rubric or the prompt here? Any questions so far? Right, I'm going to take silence as a no. Last thing I'll show you, if you're wondering what any of these elements look like, I'm going to just guide you down here to the color-coded one, which is so ridiculous. Here's my counterclaim just to show you. Although, I've got italicized transitions, my counterclaim is right here. I'll let you guys go through this. This is kind of a lengthy one. I don't remember how many sentences I'm at. I might be at 13 or 15. But don't feel like you have to do a lengthy one. I probably should cut a little bit out of my introduction up here. But there's a little color-coded little fun little pastel thing you can look at. Other than that, I'm going to come back to you guys right now. Any questions on that overall? Okay, if you have questions on this, I invite you to stay behind after this meeting ends. Otherwise, the only thing I wanted to say, your Corona Chronicle final project is due June 5th. So today, if you want like some guidelines, I'm hoping you are copy and pasting primary sources into that. If you're ahead of that, if you're behind that, that's okay. And the last thing I want to say, fourth period, you have been such a joy this whole year. You have been just a light that I've gotten to have all year. You all mean so much to me. So next week, I would like to meet one last time as a class. I don't even know what it'll look like yet. I'm hoping we can do something kind of fun. So if you want to think about this, would you rather meet one last time next Wednesday or next Friday? And if you want to, if you feel comfortable, you can type your answer in the chat. You feel free to do that. If you'd rather meet next Wednesday or next Friday for the last time. The other class, a lot of them said next Friday, but you guys can type whatever you want in that chat. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and read off your names. When I read your name, it means you're good to go and you can leave. Okay, I got a Friday. Ooh, Friday. I want to say thank you to you guys for coming on. I'm so proud of you. And thank you this is one of our longer meetings, and I want to kind of bump through this so I can get you going. So I've got Joe, Grace, Carson, Matt, Ella, Rachel, Kirsten, Max, Andy, Anna, Michael, Luke, Becca, Tyler, Karina, Lily, Nick, Jacob, Sophie, Cooper. Who would I miss? Awesome.
I just have a quick question.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, also, I say Friday too. I just forgot to type it in.
You are all good. Okay, Friday is noted.
So when is our Corona Chronicle project is due on June 5th?
Mm-hmm.
Then when do we have to turn in our compiling evidence worksheet? Is that today?
That is hopefully today, but if that's a little behind, that's okay.
Okay, yeah. No, I have it finished. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to kill time, Lily?
Well, I just got my braces off, so that's exciting.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. You have a beautiful smile!
Thank you.
Does it feel so weird?
Yeah, but
you
I
feel
love
bare?
it. Yes, it feels like there's nothing in there. I don't know, it's weird.
All
yeah,
my
but I like
friends
it.
told me that when they got their braces off, they just kept running like their tongue over their and oh, that's so fun!
Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I've been trying to hang out with my friends outside. What have you been up to?
I have been seeing a couple. I got to see one friend. I'll just tell you this because I know you'll appreciate it. One of my friends, I wasn't gonna go see anyone because I was like, don't be safe. But I just I can't help it. I got to see him a little bit. And then one of my friends, her BF dumped her. So I was like, okay, I've got to go see her. Enough is enough. So, but yeah, I'm good. I'm just good. I just hope we get to be together next fall.
Yeah. Do you not teach any of the English classes next year?
Okay. So good question. I don't know which English class I'll be teaching. It's possible I'll be teaching 10th grade, but they might move me to juniors. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. What can I ask? What did you sign up for next year?
I signed up for AP.
Did you? Awesome.
Yeah.
I hope you get Miss. Well, both of them are great.
I want Miss too.
Yeah, I think you would love that.
Yeah, I had her for values. I love her.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for staying on with me.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. Sorry to kill your time, but it's so fun to see you.
I know, you too.
Tell your mom hi, okay?
I will. Thanks. Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.